Hi, welcome to class 2 in my beginner series. And if you've never taken yoga before, take the first class and then come to this class. If you've taken it a few times, totally fine to jump in here. How I'm doing this series is just adding on to class 1 each time until we come into a full class. So we'll come to a comfortable seat and you might put your hips up on a blanket. You'll want a couple blocks or books just to give yourself some height as we go into some new poses. So the first part of yoga, just arriving on our mats. You can close your eyes, rest your hands wherever, and then ground your pelvis down, and you can even bring your pubic bone forward a little bit. And that'll help bring a natural alignment into your spine. Bring your attention to your breath. Yoga is about many things, and in the beginning of our practice, it's really just about becoming aware of where we are in space. Where is our body? How is our body feeling? Noticing the quality of your breath. Is your heart beating really fast? Do you feel calm? Do you feel like your heart is beating out of your chest? And if so, can you take in your next inhale and expand your belly, blow it up like a balloon? And on the exhale, just let the belly draw back toward your spine. So that will automatically kind of calm down your heart rate. Inhale, blow belly up like a balloon. And exhale, draw your belly in. And then just a couple more rounds, just like that. Good. Fold your palms together in front of your heart. Inhale. And exhale. Open your eyes. And we'll meet in hands and knees. So tabletop. And we'll press into all 4 corners of the hand, which I talked about in our first video. So really wanting to press down into this first knuckle, which has the tendency to lift. You can also think about it as if you put your hand in chalk. You place your hand back down and you're pressing down into your knuckles. You're gripping your mat with your finger pads and the palm is lifted. So there wouldn't be any chalk on your mat because the palm is lifted up versus pressing down into the palm but not getting any of the stability of the knuckles and the grip of the finger pads. All right, cat-cow. Inhale, drop your belly, look forward. Exhale, press into those knuckles, round your spine like an angry cat. Let your head hang. And then a few more. Inhale. Exhale. So this is cat-cow. This is the cat. You can think of it like an angry cat spine, and then you come through like a cow. Good. Let's take one more round. Beautiful. Now take your knees wide, untuck your toes, press yourself back into child's pose. Last week we talked about you could have a block underneath your forehead. If your hips don't go all the way back, you're right here, that's fine. Just make sure you're not cranking on your neck. And just stay where you can. Over time, you might be able to start to bring your hips all the way back to your heels with your forehead coming down. Good. Claw your mat with your finger pads. Bring yourself back up. Tuck your toes. Now press down into your hands and round your spine like that angry cat again. Good. Toes are tucked. Press into the balls of your feet. Lift your knees just a touch and keep that rounding of your spine. Now start to lift your hips. Maybe walk your feet back a little bit. Bend your knees and press your tailbone up. We don't want to collapse in the chest, so keep those strong, straight arms. Maybe even scoot your feet back further. So if you're like this, you're flexible, your feet are on the ground, you might see that you have this round at the lower back, and that is not natural alignment for the low back. So that's why I say step your feet back more, bend your knees, press your pubic bone up, lift your tailbone, then soften your heels back down. You can take your gaze forward a little bit. You do not have to be looking at your belly button. Good. Inhale, breath. Exhale, breath. One more inhale. Exhale. Lift your heels, bend your knees, empty out your breath, and look forward. And then just take little steps to the top of your mat. Feet hip width distance apart. You can take 2 fists by each other and take them inside your feet. That'll generally give you shoulder width distance apart. Now you're hinging at your hips. Let your head hang. If you need to bend your knees, that's fine. Just make sure that your tailbone stays facing up. We want to get this stretch in the backs of the legs, the hamstrings, or the backs of the thighs. Shake your head no. Nod yes. And here you might take ragdoll, so that's taking opposite elbows, sway a little side to side. Just let your torso be like liquid. You can maybe smile here, turn up the corners of your mouth. Thank yourself for making this time for your practice. Good. Let your hands drop down, walk your fingertips forward and extend through the crown of your head. And then take your hands to your hips. Keep that flat spine. Come all the way up to standing Tadasana, mountain pose. Lift armpits to ears and draw the head of the arm bones back. Good. Notice how that opens up your chest. And then taking your hands to the tops of the thighs, anchor the tops of the thighs back and kind of soften your front ribs down. Palms face the sides of your body, gaze straight ahead. Root down through all 4 corners of your feet, which we talked about in the first video. And we'll move with breath. Inhale, reach your arms up, look up. Exhale, keep the hinge at the hips. You can always take them to the tops of the thighs to press your thighs back, and then bring your hands down to your mat or your blocks. Walk your hands forward, look ahead, extend through your crown. And then exhale, hinging at hips, fold. Good. Press down into the foundation of your feet. Inhale, reach up, look up. Exhale, hands to heart. So we're going to do that 2 more times. Think about tops of thighs back. Good. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hinge at your hips, fold. You can press the thighs back as you do this. Hands to your mat or blocks. Walk your hands forward, lift the spine halfway, look ahead. And exhale, fold. Press down into your feet. Inhale, reach up, look up. Exhale, hands to heart. Beautiful. 1 more. Inhale, breath. Reach up, look up. Exhale, hinge at hips, press thighs back, fold. Walk hands forward, lift the spine, look ahead. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach arms up, look up. Hands together and to the heart. Good. Arms by the sides, Tadasana. All right, so we're going to add in lunges to our practice today. So inhale, reach the arms up once more. Exhale, hinge at hips, fold. Walk your hands forward, look ahead. Step your right foot back. So you might take a few steps back just as you are getting familiar with the mechanics of your body. Maybe you've never really tapped into what your body can do, and yoga allows us to be curious. So from here, you're going to bend your front knee. Your feet are as if they're on railroad tracks. So they're still hips width distance apart, so you have stability. If the feet were in a line like a tightrope, you're not stable. You're going to fall. all over. So keeping the feet hips width distance apart. Squeeze legs to the midline, to the middle. Good, and then breathe here. Now scoop your heart forward, take your gaze ahead. Keep squeezing your legs to the midline and come all the way up. So just let your arms dangle here. This is called crescent lunge or high lunge. Try to straighten your back leg. And you're spinning your inner thigh toward the midline. Good, and you're pressing it up. Now lift armpits up to ears. Draw head of arm bones back, soften front ribs down. Inhale, reach your arms up. And then take your wrists and elbows forward a little bit as you slide the head of your arm bones back. Rebend into your front knee. Inhale, breath. Exhale, breath. Hands come down. Lift your back thigh higher. Little steps or one step to the top of your mat. Forward fold. Let that side go. Good, other side. Left foot steps back, runner's lunge. You can walk your foot forward. We want knee over ankle alignment. And then think of your back thigh spinning in and pressing up. So hips are lifted. Scoop your heart forward, lift your belly. Squeeze legs strong to the center. And then come on up, crescent lunge. Now let your arms dangle by the sides first. Lift armpits to ears. Head of arm bones draw back. Make space for your chest here. Soften your front ribs a little bit. Inhale, reach your arms up. Wrists forward, elbows forward. And then hug armpits back. Breathe. Gaze straight ahead. And then the fingers aren't lazy here. Hands are active. Fingers spread wide. Breath. One more inhale. Exhale. Hands come down. And step forward. Forward fold. Hinge at hips. Walk hands forward. Lift the spine. Look ahead. And exhale, fold. Okay, crescent lunge again. Right foot steps back. Squeeze legs strong to your midline. Front knee lines up directly over the ankle. So we make adjustments where you need to. Where does your foot need to be to find that alignment? And then adjust your back foot as needed. Good, and then come on up, crescent lunge. Elbows forward, wrists forward, hollow the armpits back. Reach the fingertips up. Keep pressing this thigh back. And breathe. Now we'll do like goalpost arms or cactus arms. So bend the elbows, take the arms out wide. Take the elbows forward, forearms back. Lift armpits to ears, roll head of arm bones back. See how much more space you create there for your chest. Rebend into your front knee. Good, maybe just take your gaze up. Feel this opening in your chest as your legs stay nice and strong. Breathe. And then inhale, reach arms up. Exhale, hands come down. Little steps or big step. Forward fold, top of the mat. Beautiful, nice work. Let that go. Step your left foot back. Come on up, crescent lunge. Good. Now, cactus the arms. So elbows bend, elbows forward, forearms back. Lift armpits to ears, head of arm bones back. Make space for your chest. Bend into your front knee. Soften your front ribs down and breathe. Maybe the gaze goes up a little bit. Challenge your balance. It's okay if you're shaking. I am too. Just means your muscles are working. Good. Inhale, extend your arms up. Exhale, hands come down. Little steps or one big step to the top of your mat. Forward fold. Walk your hands forward, lift the spine halfway, look ahead. And exhale, fold. Ground down into your feet. Inhale, reach your arms all the way up. And then hands in front of heart. Okay, little standing balance. So we'll add on to what we did last time. Grab a block if you like, because balance is hard and it changes every day. So someday you might totally stick a pose, meaning like your balance is in check. Other days you may find that your balance is totally off, and that will happen in your first 2 weeks of your practice to 20 years later. So just know that's common. All right, so hands to hips. Left leg strong. Think about like hugging muscle to bone. And then lift your right knee. So right here could be you working on balance and strengthening left leg. So squeeze your left buttocks. And then if you feel like, okay, I can do this, kind of ditch your block. Keep your right knee lifted, flex your foot. Maybe reach your arms up. Option to add on, if you feel like the crown of your head can keep facing the sky, you'll extend your right leg. What we need to watch for here is tipping back, so we don't want that. I'm going to keep the left leg strong and straight and lift your right leg. Your right leg might be down here, and that's okay. Got to work on strengthening the hip flexors. Good, one more inhale. And exhale, release. Shake it out. Notice the difference between the sides. And then we'll move on. So right leg strong and straight. And then maybe your left foot rests on a block. We want the knee extended out from the hip. Firm your right buttocks. You can keep your hands at your hips this whole time and maybe just try to extend your left leg, even if it's down here. Working on building strength. And then maybe arms reach up. Careful not to tip back or go forward. Strong, straight spine, reach arms up. Lift left leg higher, breathe. And then let that go. Okay, so adding on to our standing balance. Left leg stays strong, right knee lifts. So we're going to take this into a twist. So your right knee is lifted, but your left hand is going to be on the front of the shin or the knee. You can keep your right hand here at your right hip, or maybe start to play with taking the right arm back. Good. Keep your lifted foot flexed, left leg straight and strong. Firm your left buttocks. Stay with this, or try to take your gaze back and notice what happens. And that's okay. It's a practice. We just come right back into it. Good. And then take your gaze forward and set your right foot down as gracefully as possible. Switching sides. Right leg firm. Left knee lifts. Right hand outside of the front shin. Left hand, left hip. Keep your gaze forward to start. And then try to release the hand from the hip. Reach the left arm back. Nice tall spine. Breath. Maybe play with taking your gaze back. Nice and slow. It's okay if you shift back and forth on your foot. Kind of grip the toes with your mat. And then maybe take the gaze back forward. And release. Nice work. All right, so set the blocks aside if you used them. Inhale, reach arms up, look up. Anchor tops of thighs back, fold. Step back, downward facing dog. So you're gonna plant your hands, step back to your dog. Remember, dog is nice and long. You should have space to bend your knees, lift your tailbone up, and then play with softening your heels down toward your mat. Grip your mat with your finger pads, press down into your first knuckle and breathe. Now we're going to shift forward to plank. So you'll shift your torso forward with your shoulders staying lined up above your wrists. So if you feel like you're like this, you're going to want to take the hands back. And if you feel like your shoulders are way in front of your hands, readjust. In fact, you can take your wrists just a little bit ahead of the shoulders. Remember, knees can come down at any time. Maybe we'll just start with this knees down variation. So take your tailbone and kind of tuck it just a touch toward your heels. And then slowly bend the elbows lower down to your belly. Good, so we'll start with Sphinx again. Shoulders above elbows, legs wide. Make fists with your hands and press down. And then act as if you're drawing your elbows back without really moving them off your mat. And you're dragging them back toward your feet so that the head of the arm bones can roll back and your shoulder blades can slide down your back. And take the gaze forward, maybe even down a little bit, neck in line with your spine. Pelvis is heavy. One more inhale. And then exhale, come down. Now, take the arms back behind you, palms face down, and then your gaze is down. Legs still nice and wide like a letter V on your mat. Take your hands outside your mat and press down into your finger pads. Good. And then suck your belly up, so belly, navel to spine. Gaze goes forward, but not cranking neck like this, just forward and down. And then lift your legs as much as you can and breathe. Breathe into your low back. If it feels crunchy, take your legs wider. Good, and then lift your chest. Maybe play with lifting your arms and think of this less as a back bend, but more as an extension of your spine from toes through the crown. Inhale, lift. Exhale, come down. So you can stack your hands, take your right ear to the mat or your left or your forehead down. Crocodile. And we'll do one more. Locust. So arms go back. Hands can be outside your mat, legs wide. Good. Now lift the head of the arm bones up off of your mat. Lift your legs. Breathe into your low back. Keep that strength you created with hugging muscle to bone on the legs. And then lift your chest higher. Maybe lift arms and shoot out energy from your fingertips and your toes. Lengthening also through the crown of your head. Big breath in. And exhale, release down. Hands can cross. Shimmy hips side to side. Slide your hands underneath your shoulders. Press on up to tabletop. Good. Notice how your low back feels. Take your big toes together, knees wide. Find your child's pose. Notice how this child's pose feels compared to the first one. Totally fine if your hips are up here or your forearms are down. Never ever pushing through pain. Sensation is okay, pain not okay. So if anything brings you pain, you stop. All right, so then walk your hands up toward your thighs, bring your knees together, and shift your hips off to one side. Take your legs out in front of you. And then take your hands next to your hips. Lift your hips up a little bit. They don't even really have to come off the mat. And then just slide your booty back. This is going to help tilt your pelvis forward, which is what the alignment we want, because we want your low back to hug in and lift up. So lumbar spine is in alignment. Now remember, you can take a blanket and put your booty up on a blanket to help tilt your pelvis forward. 2 fingertips inside your left leg, underneath your left knee pit. Now let that bend your knee, bring it in. Then take your right hand and try to turn your toes, your foot down as your left knee comes out to the side. Your right leg stays strong and your heel presses down. Now I already noticed my hips or my tailbones tucking, so I'm going to take my hands by my hips again and slide my sits bones back. Good. Without rounding the spine, we're hinging at hips and walking your hands forward. We're looking for a stretch in the back of the front leg. If you are naturally flexible, you might already be able to bring your belly down and your chest down, or maybe your right hand grabs outside of the foot. You can bend your right elbow and draw your sternum forward. It's lining up with the inside of your right leg. But if this is happening just because you're trying to touch your foot, you need to stay up here. Don't worry. The space and the flexibility will come. Deepen your breath. Good, and then make your way back up. Take your left leg long, and then just notice, does your left leg feel longer than your right? Mine does, just from that little bit of stretch. All right, hands next to hips, lift your booty, slide your butt back. Right fingers inside, right knee pit, lift your knee. Take your left hand to your right foot, click your toes down, take your right knee out to the side. Good, once again, hands to hips, slide sits bones back. Sternum forward, chest forward, and then we're not rounding to grab your foot. We could all do that, and then we can all be in really bad alignment and cause ourselves injury. So instead, hinge at hips. We're not going for some Instagram photo here. We're going for longevity in our practice. Maybe left hand is outside of left foot, bend elbow, and breathe. Good, and then come back up, both legs forward, slide your hips forward, bend your knees, and come on down to your back. All right, so a little bit of core work here. So instead of rooting down into your low back, I want you to think about pubic bone going forward, sits bones rolling forward, so there's space for a little small animal under here. Knees come up to 90. You can hold the sides of your mat for leverage. And then once again, tap. I think we did this in the first video. Just alternate toe taps. Keep your jaw relaxed and the space between your eyebrows. If you want more, you're gonna take both feet, tap them down and bring them up. Tap. Core stabilization work here. Tap. Good, for 3, 2, and 1. We're gonna get into the obliques a little bit now. So interlace fingers behind your head. Lift from your chest as if there's a string from your sternum up to the sky. So lift your chest versus like lifting your head and cranking. Your hands will support the back of your neck and you'll let the weight of your head fall into your hands. Lift your chest higher. Good, now take your left elbow toward your right knee and tap. Maybe the left foot comes down. Inhale through center, keep chest and shoulders lifted. Exhale to the left. Right knee left, or left knee right elbow. And then you'll just switch back and forth. Maybe you pick up the pace. Maybe you stop in between. Chest and shoulders stay lifted. Head is heavy in your hands. Got a couple more rounds each side. For 2 and 1. Good, take your feet down, release your hands. Now, root down into all 4 corners of your feet and really kind of turn into the inner arches. Knees face up, walk your fingertips toward your heels. Roll those sits bones forward. Press down into inner arches, lift booty. Good. And then maybe walk your fingertips toward your heels a little bit more. Now, because we're not doing booty work right now, you might be kind of not even noticing this, but you might be tucking how can I say this? You might be engaging your glutes a lot here. So what we want to do to not do booty work right now is you can take your hands to the tops of the hips and then just press your hips down a little bit. That will soften your glutes. All right, so you can act like you're dragging your heels toward your shoulders to ignite the backs of the thighs, your hammies. And then you can press back down into your feet and act as if you're spreading your mat apart between your feet. That's gonna engage your outer hips. So just feeling those differences. Now, if you push forward with your feet, you might find more expansiveness, more lift in the hips. Notice if your glutes turned on, take the hips down, soften your glutes and breathe. Gaze is straight up. One more inhale. Exhale, come down. Good. Left foot stays rooted, right ankle crosses over left thigh, right knee's bent. You can press the right knee forward. Or, and once again, sits bones roll forward, then let the shape lift. If we all just round our back, sure, we can all grab everywhere, get really close. But that's not going to be beneficial for the spine in the long run. So sits bones roll forward, which means this shape might not come so close to your chest. If you're here and you have more space, then, and you can maintain the roll of the sits bones forward, then maybe you draw this closer to your chest. Breathe. Good. Bring your left foot down, uncross the right, and then switch sides. Left ankle over right thigh, pressing the knee forward here. Pubic bone down toward your mat. Little animal under the spine, does not get crushed. Or you maintain this back bend, or this natural alignment, I should say, as you pull the shape closer. Rock a little side to side. Good. Right foot comes down, left foot comes down. Hug your knees into your chest. Maybe take some circles. Inhale, breath. And then give yourself the gift of Shavasana. So final resting pose, legs straight out, nice and wide. No need to bring the legs together. Arms out wide. They could be up overhead or down by your sides. Let your eyes close and let yourself be still. We won't be here long, but I want you to get used to the concept of rest and stillness in your practice. Bring your attention back to the present moment. And if you're comfortable here, stay, even as I say goodbye. Just stay here as long as you can. If you're ready to end your practice, you'll draw your knees in one at a time to your chest. And then just roll off to either side. Stay there for a moment. And then use your top hand to press yourself up. Come back to a seat. And keep your eyes closed. Heavy in your sits bones, low back pulls in and lifts up. Hold your hands in front of your heart. And just notice how your body feels, how your mind feels. Maybe we've quieted a little chatter. And tuck your chin. Inhale breath. Exhale breath. Namaste. Thank you, friends. I will see you for practice 3, which we will add in some twists and a little bit like another pose to each section. So we'll just continue to build and build so that the poses become comfortable and familiar. You can revisit practice 1 and 2, and then we'll go with practice 3 after this one. All right, thanks.